Welcome to Blog Talk Radio.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we're perfect.
Start your show now, press 1.
Oops.
To hear important instructions, press 2.
So hold on, let me get that working here. I don't know why it's not showing up here. Shoot.
To start your show now, press 1.
I know.
To hear important instructions, press 2.
I'm not sure why it's not showing up here. Oh, there we go.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
Okay, I think we're good.
I've heard that before.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and, we'll, of course, edit this out, but let me go ahead and start with the introduction and we'll get started, okay?
Sounds great.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this edition of the Bringing Inspiration to Earth show. Today, my special returning guest and friend is Rebecca L. Norrington, and we will be talking about her new book, Programmed for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. How happy are you? Can other people hurt your feelings? Can other people offend you? Can other people disappoint you? Do you blame other people for how you feel? Do you blame your circumstances for how you feel? On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is happiness to you? There's nothing wrong with accumulating wealth, titles, celebrity, achievements, accolades, trophies, medals, likes, and millions of followers. But it's time to tell the truth. None of the above, without exception, equates to happiness. Programmed for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth, promises to disrupt and revolutionize the masses' search for the elusive state of happiness. This book is uniquely controversial for two significant reasons. It emphasizes self-responsibility and self-awareness. More importantly, it targets 55 programmed behaviors from levels 1 to 3 that have been proven to subtract from a person's happiness, inner peace, and contentment. Rebecca L. Norrington is a happiness specialist, inner peace practitioner, and oracle. She is a student of the universe and its laws. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology and decades of education and training on topics ranging from spirituality to human behavior. Her professional journey includes several vocations: speaker, podcaster, workshop retreat facilitator, fitness instructor, Reiki practitioner, retired legal secretary, and mother. Rebecca's first book, Reality Spirituality: The Truth About Happiness, was published in 2014. You can find out more about Rebecca and all that she has to offer by visiting her website, which is RebeccaNorrington.com, and that's RebeccaNorrington.com. And with that, I'd like to welcome Rebecca to the show. Good day, Rebecca.
Woo, I'm going to have to start editing my own intro. Gee whiz. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I just really am grateful for us. Again, it's been at least, I would say 15 years, 12, 13, 14, 15 years. And we met on Blog Talk Radio, and we've been in each other's lives ever since. And I just feel like your family. And I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. And so let's go ahead and start with the show. Now, I've known about this book for a long time and waiting for it to come to fruition. And I'm sure not as much as you were waiting for it to happen. So you've been studying happiness, as I mentioned, for a long time. So what when did you first start, dedicating yourself to the study of happiness, and why that particular topic?
Well, if you've listened to me, you've heard this before, but this may be for people that haven't heard me. But when I was younger, you remember blowing the candles out of the birth, blowing the candles out on your birthday cake. And I always wish for the same two things. I wanted to live to my potential. I had no idea what that uh, looked like, felt like. I had no specific vision, and I wanted to be happy. And so, me, like most everyone else, thought that being happy meant accomplishing, whether I was in a great relationship or home or titles behind my name or money in the bank, traveling, all these external things. And I thought that that would make me happy, and come to find out, to my chagrin, that it is the furthest from the truth. Happiness is, and when I say happiness, let me be very clear, because some people don't even like that word. Some people, oh, I rather use the word joy, but I'm talking about an energy, a personal vibration of contentment, of satisfaction, of balance, of trust, of ease. And regardless of what happens, life is up and down, and it's rooted. My peace, my happiness, my contentment is rooted in trust that whatever is happening is there for a reason, is there to either expand my consciousness, or there to teach me something, or there to take me to so I can transcend. And so the life is a gift, and even the times, the challenges that don't feel like gifts, even those are gifts. I don't know if I answered your question, but my definition of happiness is the ability to maintain a vibration of peace regardless of what happens.
Yeah, you did answer it, and then it started at a very young age. So,
Very young age, yes.
so now you mentioned, your definition of happiness. So would you say that each person really needs to determine their own definition of what happiness is?
I would say yes. I would say yes. And I would think that it would coincide with being able to maintain a vibration of contentment. However, most of the world says, in fact, I read a quote, or heard a quote from Jim Carrey, and he said, this was last week, and he said, happiness equals giving. And I just don't agree with that. Giving is an action, giving is a behavior. And yes, there is a warm feeling. There's a ooh, this just that overwhelms. But then what happens 15 minutes later? So what I'm talking about is a vibration that doesn't shift with actions, or what I say, what I do, what happens.
So would you say that, and I understand that's kind of transactional in a way, that, that, you know, that particular action, for him generates happiness. So would you say that happiness, one's definition of happiness, or what one experiences as happiness, changes over time? Or is there maybe a core set of um, beliefs, that one would kind of, carry on throughout their life about what happiness is?
Well, I'm only going to speak for me and my having this search, the seeking, this in agenda, the intention to experience contentment has always been the same.
Okay. Yeah. And that's, I'll say one thing. That's one of the things I like about your show, Reality Spirituality, that you have on Sundays, is that you're very careful to be sure to identify what your beliefs are separate from, what others may be, recognizing that others may have a very different perspective, but that is what your perspective is. So
Yes.
I enjoy that. Now, your first book, what dealt with happiness. Now this one is different, very different, programmed for unhappiness. So why did you choose to take this particular approach? Kind of highlighting in a way unhappiness.
That's a really good question that I haven't heard yet. And I'm so now I'm thinking, coming from your perspective, you're thinking that it's something totally different. In my search for happiness, I was discovering everything that would subtract from my happiness. In the search for happiness, I'm finding all of these things. Oh, this subtracts. Oh, that subtracts. All of these behaviors, all of these common program behaviors that subtract. So I just started listing behaviors that subtract from happiness. And then I came up with, it started with a list of maybe 20 items, and now I'm up to 55, really 56. And they're in three levels for a reason. The first level, I say that civilians, I call them civilians. Civilians can even understand that something as simple as complaining. You would know that complaining subtracts from happiness. That's an easy one, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Or worrying. Worrying subtracts. Or the need to be right. Or rushing. How many of you out there are still rushing? It's very difficult to find contentment or be at peace when I'm rushing. So it was just a matter of, oh, that subtracts, and just putting it all together. And you mentioned earlier that I've been writing this book for a long time. It's been over 5 years, but the truth is, Robert, that I know and I believe that this book is out when it's time. It wasn't time 4 years ago. It wasn't time 3 years ago. It's time now.
Right. And I understand that. It is, we truly understand that, these things happen in the right and proper time. And if it were done earlier, you wouldn't have had the 55, may have been a subset of that, and then you also had to do a little bit more living and experience before it came to fruition.
Ain't that the truth?
Absolutely. So now, in the introduction, I mentioned that you feel that maybe, there might be some controversy in this book because it emphasizes self-responsibility and self-awareness. Why do you think those may be controversial in a way?
Well, how many people are out there saying you hurt my feelings? A lot. How many people are out there saying, oh, you offended me? A lot. And I'm here to say that no one can hurt your feelings and nobody can offend you. Your feelings are your responsibility. Who wants to, and all the work, I think we're on Zoom. All the work is done in the mirror. And studying this for over 45 years, when I say happiness, this how do I experience more contentment? And teaching the classes, I teach the classes, The Truth About Happiness. I taught them in California, in Oregon, and now in Las Vegas. And it's the same. People, how many of you want to be happier? Yeah, everybody's right. Yeah, of course, yay. And then I hand them a mirror, and everybody's scurrying and running the other way. The program is to blame other people, blame your circumstances for how you're feeling. And that's another program, is to attach a story as to why you're feeling a certain way.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're right. And, and again, in many of the shows I've heard you do on Sundays, you know, many a time, you highlight, the fact that, you know, in many ways, we allow others or circumstances to influence our reactions, when in fact, when we should really be taking control of the reaction.
Well, it's not your fault. It's not your fault, dear audience. It's that you've been programmed to point the finger. You've been programmed to think that you don't have as much power as you do. So who is more powerful? The person that can be offended by words or a symbol or a flag or a statue, or someone that can't be offended? And
Yeah.
you didn't pop out of the womb knowing how to be offended. You were taught words. This word bothers you, this word triggers you, all of that. But you see how powerful an individual would be if they realized, no, it's not them, it's me. But it's
Yeah.
easy to blame.
Well, it is, because, one doesn't want to think that I'm the problem. How could I be the problem?
And
Um,
and so that's one reason. So when we talk about controversy, I'm telling everybody you're the problem. If there's a
yeah,
problem out there, guess what? Look in the mirror, it's you. And even to the point where the circumstance doesn't have to change. It's up to you to shift your perspective. Can you look at something that's bothering you, something that's annoying you, something that's pushing your buttons? Can you look at it another way? Can you come up with a different perspective to shift your own energy?
yeah, yeah. Now, speaking of that, in working on shifting one's energy and one's perspective, now you have 55 programs in there. And I would venture to say that anyone reading it could probably pick up a few dozen of those, identify with a few dozen of those at any particular time. Um, how would you suggest that individuals, no, here I go, your suggestion. If I were to pick up the book, what would be, in your opinion, the best way for me to conquer, the possibly dozens of behaviors that I exercise? I mean, it could be overwhelming, if I were to try it all at once.
What a great question. And that's one of the things that I share is don't think I have all of these mastered. Growth is ongoing. And so what I say is it's always small bites, small steps. Find one or two. It's blaming, comparing, try to control anyone else outside of yourself. This is the big one. Having expectations or taking anything personally. So pick, I don't know, one, two, three, just to kind of, and write them down and just kind of monitor yourself just for a day and say, oh yeah, I was ready to blame the traffic. Oh yeah, I was ready to expect my son to call. He said he was going to call me. I'm expecting that he calls. So it's just small steps. And you'll find that when you practice, and really, Robert, it has to be a commitment. It has to be a commitment, and it has to be a priority. What I found is people, yeah, I'll do this for, a day or two, but if you want change, if you want to feel differently, it is an ongoing, never-ending practice. So
Yeah.
it's a commitment to, yes, I want to experience something other than what I've been experiencing.
Yeah, yeah. And I can see, I'm with you on the idea of, maybe selecting one or two that are kind of easier to, attack,
Yes,
and then get that success under your belt, before you
yes.
can. But
And just like you said, so rushing, I mentioned that rushing. So that's an easy one just to be mindful, because there are some people that rush all the time. It's drama. Rushing is just drama.
yeah.
I know, because I'm a ex-rushaholic. And so yes, it's just the smallest things, or just paying attention. So question, I like to always throw this one out. Do you worry? And
Mhm.
98% of the population will, yeah, I worry. And I get, oh, worrying is normal. Well, worrying is not normal. Worrying is a program where you were taught to worry. And so what happens is, though, these people that worry and then tell somebody else, tell their loved ones, oh, I'm worried about you. That just is another way to manipulate and control them, because you want them to change. You want them to change their behavior so you don't worry about them.
Yeah. Yeah. I, I mentioned many times that I had the best teacher in worry in my mother. I mean, that program was really embedded deeply, because she was a worrier. I mean, and sometimes it appeared to me that in a way she enjoyed it. I mean, it kind of gave her something to focus on. And that was tiring, even as a child. I thought, oh my God, but that is a challenge, even to this day for me, because it was so embedded. That program was so deep that I mean, it comes around less now, but it still comes around, no matter how I try.
I was getting chills just listening to you. You said so many gems. Number one, this worrying is deep. It is a deep, deep, deep program, and it's very, very difficult to root it up. However, you have the awareness, and that's the work. The awareness is the work right there. Number two, these people not only enjoy worrying, they need to worry. It's part of their identity. Everyone that worries says, oh yeah, I know worrying isn't good for me, but then you still do it. So what it is an addiction. In fact, that's one of the things I talk about in the book, the addiction to some of these programs. It is an addiction. And if I'd said to your mother or anyone, because I have a family member, the same thing, oh, it's normal to worry. It's normal. No, it's not normal. But the thing is, if I snap my fingers and I said, take your worry away, they wouldn't want their worry taken away.
Yeah.
They need their worry. It's part of who they are. So what is my position? I have to accept, I scratch that. I practice accepting that these people are doing something. Our worry works. And then it's all about knowing your audience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know my audience, and then I don't only give them a certain amount of time.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And it's important to remember that that the life they're living is their choice, and to allow them to have that choice, but also to be aware of boundaries, and not that their choices impact your happiness or peace of mind.
Well, I'm going to throw something at you. Put your seatbelt on. Do they really have a choice? Do robots really have a choice?
Well, actually, they do. I mean, in when programming robots, it could be binary. They could, choose A or B. Now they may feel that they don't have a choice, or that the programming is so ingrained that you know they cannot see another choice. But the fact is there is another choice if they choose to be self-aware of it, I would think. No?
Well, I don't believe that if you are programmed, you are bound to that program. So no, I don't believe that program people have a choice. I believe that the only way that they can behave is the way that they're programmed.
Okay, so if people are programmed for unhappiness and they can't choose otherwise, then why the book?
Well, so the book is to recognize the programs and to
Okay.
begin to eliminate them one by one. But just not even knowing that you're programmed. If I said to somebody that worries a lot, well, you're programmed. Oh, what does that mean? I'm not programmed. They would say it's normal. So not even to recognize the programming, yeah, that's an issue. So the book is about recognizing the programming, put a spotlight on it, and eliminating the programs one by one. I'll give you another one. This is level 3. This is a little bit more advanced for people that have been doing, work on self, spiritual work, whatever you want to call it, seeking, searching. We've probably talked about this before, but anyway, so life throws at us different, from health to financial relationships, and there is an energy behind certain. So say I was diagnosed with cancer, and then with that, there is a story that I tell myself that this is serious, this is important. That's a program to say that cancer is serious, cancer is important. So there is a way that I can still navigate through it, whatever treatment I need to have or no treatment. But without that, this is serious. See, that's extra.
Okay, so
That's extra energy that's not necessary or needed. And it's programmed to say that this is serious, as opposed to a paper cut is not serious.
yeah. So the idea is that you would look at, let's say, the diagnosis of cancer, that you would look at it as from a logical standpoint, that it is serious in the sense that the implications that may result from treatment or non-treatment, or just kind of the course of your life over a certain period of time. Rather, it is to recognize it for that, rather than going ballistic about a diagnosis and so frenzied that you kind of lose kind of track of the fact that there's something that can be done about it. I mean, it's serious, and it is life-threatening. It can be life-threatening,
And even
but
that's not serious.
right. So, well, okay.
You
Now
see,
that,
see, it's not even the diagnosis. It's that this world teaches that there are certain things that are serious and important and some that aren't. And I'm here to say that whole thought process is a program.
okay. So now one identifies, a program that is creating unhappiness or taking away from happiness from them. And they become aware, is it important to have a replacement program in the sense of that, it's kind of like, doing away with the negative impact and creating maybe a more reasonable response. So the idea is do you replace one program with another program, or do you replace a detrimental program with nothing? And then it's kind of hard, I would think, um, to try and create a mental process, to deal with that, rather than kind of, reverting back to the unhappy kinds of responses.
What a great question, too. Good insight. So this is my belief. This is my perspective. All programs are unneeded. We came into, into being popped out of the womb with zero programming of comparing, but we're living in the moment. So all programs, and good, oh, this is a good program. But what does that mean? It's still man-made. So you're right. It goes into a nothing. It goes into, oh, this is so hard. It's so hard. Everything is meaningless. It's meaningless.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
and to live in a state of neutrality, and who gives anything meaning other than the mind, other than the ego? So living in a state of neutrality, meaning that I'm experiencing all of this without putting a judgment on it. All programs, I don't want any programs, even the one that disguise themselves as good. No, those are tricky too. Those are tricky. Those good programs are tricky.
Because, in a way, the idea, and then it's the program, the idea is to experience more happiness. There is that, and again, it appears that that would be a program, that we are programmed not only to unhappiness, but for happiness, the search for happiness, and having more happy activities or experiences in our life than not.
You said something that just triggered. You said this is the point, is to go back to that person, that baby, that toddler before the programming, to live like that.
Okay.
And I think there's a scripture. This isn't a religious thing, but there's a scripture to say, go to become like a child. And what that means is no programming.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is the ultimate, in my perspective, state to be in.
Yeah. Okay. And that's I watch babies a lot, whenever I'm out and about, and their curiosity, their inquisitiveness, their sometimes lack of restraint,
That's right.
is it's fun to watch, because there is an innocence about it, that I think we kind of maybe harken back to at times. Can we ever be completely deprogrammed, or is it just period and ongoing practice from birth to death?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that question, but I do know that years ago, decades ago, I did not know the difference between my ego talking, that personhood, that person, and I mean, I identified with the thoughts and the stories. And so, but now I don't. But it took decades, and I do know the difference, and I can get caught up with, oh, I'm identifying with Rebecca, and Rebecca Norrington has a problem with this, but I'm not Rebecca Norrington. So there's a constant ongoing observation. In fact, one of my favorite teachers, his name is Moji, Mooji. He's got a lot of YouTube videos. He talks about just being aware of that entity and not identifying with it. And so I have to say that decades, I identified with this person, Rebecca Norrington, and I'm not anymore, meaning that I can watch her, I can observe her, I don't need to judge her, but that's not me. I'm more than that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and there's a lot to be said for taking that observer perspective, because it kind of takes you out of all of the drama, the emotion, and the programming, and just simply um, observe, and just kind of become aware of all of the interaction that might be going on and not really being in it.
That's right. That's exactly what I'm talking about. The example I give is, so you're at a theater and all the drama is on stage, all of the ups and downs, the sad, the love, the murder, all of the everything on stage, but I'm in the audience watching, I'm witnessing all of this drama. But then there's somebody that's in the back with the cameras observing all of it. And so the practice is to be the awareness. And I wasn't here 5 years ago, Robert. I wasn't, oh, I'm awareness. I wasn't there, but I'm there now. Yes,
Right.
I am awareness.
Yeah. Now, of the 55, are there any one or two maybe that you seem to come across more often than not?
Yes, there's several. I'm going to give you a few. Living in the past, people love to talk about yesterday. Oh my goodness. To have a conversation with anyone, it's yesterday, yesterday. All my troubles seem so far away. All I can think about is yesterday, yesterday, worrying. The other one, giving power to words. Mm. Having expectations, attaching to an outcome. This is the way I want this to, having preferences. Those are believing life is unfair and unjust, and wanting life to be fair and just.
Good luck, huh? Well, is it, now of those, I mean, not of those, is there one in particular for you that may be, even if it's someone that you've maybe worked the longest on, or one for you that had been a particular challenge?
This expectations, having expectations is a big challenge. The other thing right now, currently, I'm going to say taking anything seriously, thinking anything is important. I put, this is serious energy. For an example, a couple of days ago, I was working with this gentleman who's helping me with videos, and we aren't compatible with a product. I have a certain look that I want, and his creativity, it just doesn't match. And now he put something out and I didn't like it, and this needs to be changed. It's not my brand. And all of that. This is serious. This is serious. I mean, my ego just went off, and recognizing that in the moment, and just letting it ride itself out, not trying to change it, not trying to make a judgment, but just, you're writing this out, and here we go. And the way I was feeling had nothing to do with what he did or didn't do. It was just time for me to feel a certain way. That's the other big thing. Oh, I'm feeling this way because an attorney or someone didn't deliver a product, or someone said they were going to call me and they didn't. No, I'm feeling all of my feelings, my humanly feelings, because it's time. That's a big one. Let go of the stories, thinking that I know why I'm feeling a certain way. That's all coming from the ego, and it's only one perspective.
Yeah, yeah. That can be a real challenge. I know expectation for me was, is a, it can be challenging, and once I recognized, like for when I was doing my first book, it was one of those, like your book, you expect it to be done in a particular amount of time, and you're expecting a particular kind of response, all of that kind of thing, those expectations. Whenever there's expectation, it's many times it leaded to disappointment, and rather than just allowing what's happening to happen, and it's kind of like riding the wave, whatever it may be just a little bit of a wave, or it may be a big one, but whatever it is, just ride it.
That's right. That's right. And all expectations end in disappointment.
Yeah, very much. Now, you teach a program at UNLV, University of Nevada, Las Vegas, about happiness. So, and it's an adult program. So tell us a bit about what's the age range of your students in that particular thing, and do they come to the class with I would say maybe different kinds of expectations expectations, that when it comes to happiness?
Oh, they all come with expectations, and I hear it all the time. Well, this isn't what I expected. I sometimes I think people just want some kind of fairy dust drizzled on them, and then they're going to be happy. But the class, it's a class that I taught in California. It's called The Truth About Happiness. And this class, Robert, it's called Ollie. It's the Ollie division, Osher or something, but it's for older people, 55 plus.
Wow.
And so I have people in their 50s, in their 60s, 70s. The highest was 92 years old. And they're all looking for this feeling called happiness.
Wow. And do you feel that by the time they leave your course, that they, number one, maybe have a better understanding? I mean, I'm sure it's, individuals, I mean, and there will be a variety of responses, but I mean, your feedback from those individuals, what kind of feedback have you gotten post course?
Well, I don't know if I never read my reviews. I never read feedbacks. I could care less what you think about the class. But what I can tell you is, and it is happened every time I've taught class, and it's going to be my 5th semester here in Vegas in September. But and same in California, same in Oregon. I can tell you that there is a very small percentage, maybe 5%, hate me, hate the message, hate the class, hate to the point where they're out. And in fact, a couple of semesters ago, there was a gentleman who I was talking about addictions. This was our first day. And I said, yeah, you can be addicted to worrying, addicted to needing to be right, addicted to complaining, addicted to comparing. I use that word addicted. And so he came to me after class, or was it the beginning of the second class? But I know it was after the first class. And he said, I'm Professor in science or medical, some medical professor. And he says, you're using the word addiction incorrectly. And then I said, well, how would you like me to use it? What word would you like me to use? What word would you like me to substitute? And he never could give, I said habit, but addiction is powerful. Habit is just a habit. I mean, that's what I'm looking at it.
Right.
And of course, he didn't give me an answer. And of course, the next class, I started off with addiction. And this guy got up and walked his ass out of the class. I've had a lot of people leave. I've had a lot of people argue with me. I've had, argument. I mean, I listen to them. I've had a lot of people really angry at me, but I know it's not me. I know it's this. It's the mirror. And so I'm able to listen to a lot of criticism, and I just listen. But this is my perspective. there is a very small percentage of people that are able, willing, dedicated, committed, prioritize changing and growth. And it's 2%.
Wow.
So with all of that, I know that the majority will maybe get a tidbit. Some people, I get a lot of good feedback. Thank you for uh, letting me, not letting me, but giving me a different way to express myself. I get a lot of good feedback, but as far as being committed like I am, it's very rare to find somebody that's very rare.
Well, you've been doing it for a long time. So, and and with dedicated focus. So, that's for some of these people that may be kind of, you in that early years of, kind of identifying what happiness is, so they may be in their infant years when it comes to, their perspective and their dedication to it.
And people want to blame everyone else. They want to blame the husband. They want to blame the ex-husband. They want to blame the mother. They want to, I mean, I had one gentleman last semester, I've been victimized. My ex-wife victimized me. And just all of this, and I get it. I understand all the stories, but it still comes back to you are more powerful than you even realize. But are you willing to do something different?
Yeah, that's true. Now, gosh, we're getting down toward the end of the show. So I want to kind of highlight a couple of the chapters that you have in your book, topics in chapters, and kind of get your, crib notes on, what it's about. And one of them that was particularly interesting to me is selling dissatisfaction for profit. Boy, I thought there is something there. So, kind of tell us, what led into, or what does that what's that idea made of?
I look at all of these gurus, these life coaches, from the Tony Robbins to the Robin Sharmas to the all of them. No shade. You all do whatever you're going to do. But they're selling dissatisfaction. They're selling be dissatisfied with your life. They're selling what is the meaning of success. They're selling what one of them posted, not one of them, but someone posted, what a dull life, what an uneventful life. All of this crap, in my opinion, who's selling being satisfied in the moment? And who says the success is going to bring happiness? I mean, I can just hit you with Will Smith. In fact, he was, and I've said this on the show, but he was interviewed in GQ magazine in November before the famous slap, November 2021. And he said, I have everything. I have money, I have fame, I have connections. At the time, he said, I have a loving family, but I'm not happy. So the gurus know to sell. These people are dissatisfied and they're looking for something to fill them up. They're looking for another title, a job, money, something. They're selling dissatisfaction. No one is saying, hey, you're okay exactly where you are. Who says success? I mean, I was just at Paisley Park, Prince's compound. Genius of a man, but very unsettled. He had everything, very unsettled. So it's not about the things, it's not about your accomplishments, but the world knows it's a car salesman.
Yeah.
And this, and you got to get this now. There's a sale because it's going to go up in another 2 days.
Oh,
I, I,
wait,
I
you
you
get a
know,
bonus.
yeah, they're selling dissatisfaction. That's what every one of them is doing. Selling dissatisfaction so they can make a living.
Right, right. Yeah, I understand. And I agree a lot with that. And I, um, I kind of just look right through that and it's like, not buying it, just not buying it. Now, one other chapter that I wanted to just kind of talk about was having a cause subtracts from happiness. I mean, there are a lot of individuals who have a cause that works toward improving life of others. So tell us how having a cause might subtract from happiness.
Okay. Well, let me start by saying it's not really the cause.
Okay.
But I know that these recycle people want you to recycle too. I know that these PETA people that don't want you to wear fur or don't wear fur, they don't want you to wear fur too. I
Right.
know that the global warming people want you to believe what they believe. So it's more, you can have your cause and you can do and have this illusion. That's right, I said it, an illusion that you are making the world better. But really, you want to make the world better, raise your vibration. But let me get back to the cause. So it's these causes, the problem comes from I want you to think that my cause is important. I no scratch that. I want you to think what I think is important is important.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a problem.
Okay. And I understand that. And, there's no better way to achieve what one's cause is by modifying one's own behavior, in support of that. Um, isn't there benefit to, or let me put this, is there a distinction between raising awareness in others about a particular challenge that maybe, the world is experiencing, or what one feels is, a challenge, um, without having um, the the push for influencing them to, where does it go from raising awareness to, expecting or attempting to modify another's behavior?
Well, all the attempting to modify someone else's behavior is a program.
Okay.
And that's going to subtract from your happiness. And all of that is this idea that I know what's right. I know what's best. And so you said yeah, raising awareness. Okay.
Right.
Raise awareness without being attached to an outcome.
Okay.
And the other thing is, for every cause, however good it is, there is a different perspective. There is another way. There is another way. In other words, these people with causes only see this. The
Right.
people that
Okay.
don't want you to use plastic, don't wear plastic. It's only that. It's only that. It's only that. And so that is more of robotic. Plus,
Right.
you think that your way is right. This
Right.
is going to solve a problem. But see, these people with these causes is so interesting. The biggest cause is to vibrate an energy of love and acceptance, not hate for all these people that don't agree with your cause.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, your class, at UNLV, during the period of the course, you help people raise their awareness about happiness, about things that take away from one's happiness. And like you said, some of them, comment and appreciate the new perspective that they have from what you taught. So I'm just trying to recognize that there's benefit in raising awareness.
Let me say this. Let me say,
choose.
let me say this. So my class is not to raise awareness. My class is to share what I've learned.
Okay.
And I don't, because one of my hardest lessons is everybody does not want to be happy. What, are you crazy? No, everybody doesn't want that. And so, and I don't, I'm uplifting, I'm inspiring, I'm raising awareness. No, I'm not. I'm just sharing what I learned. And if one person buys this book and reads the book, fine. If 0 people read the book, it is nothing to do with it. It's something to do with I needed to get all of this out in a book, and I have no attachments to any outcome. So I'm not raising awareness. I'm sharing what I've learned, which is a big difference, I think.
Well, I don't know. I might disagree with you, because no, and I think, which we do all the time on your show. So, but that's okay. I mean, see, the thing is that I think it is intent. Your intent is not to raise awareness. Your intent is to share your experience. The individual receives that sharing with new insight. Some do, some don't. Those that do, it's it is a new awareness on their part. I mean, it is something that they did not visualize or experience prior to your sharing. So, and I understand, your intent is to share your experience. Whether people take it or not, that's up to them. What I'm saying is that by sharing your experience, you allow others to increase their perspective. You allow them to see another's experience with life. So,
well, I'm going to say this. There's some people that have taken my class three times straight, 4 times straight when I was in California. I mean, they took the class over and over and over and over. And so, but let me just stay with the Vegas. Now, don't talk about the past. Why are you talking about the past? And then during the break, the people that have taken my class over and over and over, and my 2 best friends who I met from the class years ago, talk about yesterday over and over and over and over. So you see, I just,
yeah.
yeah,
I understand. And I have someone around me that's constantly, do you remember when? Do you remember? Do you remember? It's like, that's the past, I'm here now. So, but anyway, Rebecca, this has really been a treat. We're toward the end of the show. So I want to thank you very much for sharing with us on this exciting new book that you have. And, hope there you go. Perfect. And wish you great success with it. And I'm sure that I will be listening to your show, Reality Spirituality, on Blog Talk Radio on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. And thank you for your time.
I really appreciate you, Robert. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, as usual, always. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Again, everyone, today my special guest has been Rebecca Norrington, and we've been talking about her new book, Programmed for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. So we did some truth telling here today. So definitely go online and purchase that book, and do listen to Rebecca every Sunday. Like I mentioned, she always has wonderful, very sometimes provocative topics. So everyone, I want to thank you for joining us for this edition of the Bringing Inspiration to Earth show. And until we meet again,